splashing in the shallow end.
Hello, and a very warm welcome to you wherever you are. I welcome you to this beautiful day in Ireland. The sun is splitting the pavements. It's a lovely day. Could be even 18, 19 degrees. You never know. It could be that warm. Hope you are keeping well. Hope you're doing okay. Again, apologies. It's been a couple of weeks since the last one, but maybe that doesn't really matter. It's only me shouting out into the void. As usual, I am very badly prepared, so I will be sort of reading a bit from a script that I have in front of me. So my apologies for that. So I thought I would introduce today's topic by beginning with a joke. How many Presbyterians does it take to change a light bulb? Change? Change? You want to change? Substitute your own denomination into that joke. No, the reason I mentioned light bulbs as a very poor joke was because we've just finished the process of selling my mum's house. Mum died last October, and the new owners were due to come in, so I had to go around and make sure that all the light shades were down, all of these sorts of things. So I had to go and stand and unscrew light bulbs. And of course, I'd forgotten to bring a wee stepladder with me, so I had to stand on my tippy toes, stretch up, and my arms got incredibly sore trying to unscrew all these light bulbs, take out the shade and put the bulb back in. And now you might say, well, why did your arms get sore? Why does that happen to us when we reach up for things? Why do our arms become sore? Now, you might say it's because you're fat, Simon, and you're a big fat blob of a person. The other thing is there's an evolutionary reason for it, in that way in the past we used to be quadrupedal, in that we walked on all fours. And when you walk on all fours, all your limbs are down, touching the ground, and your heart can easily pump blood. But when you become bipedal, you stand up, and then you stretch your arms up into the air, your heart isn't strong enough to pump blood to the very extremities, to your fingertips and things like that. And that's why your arms get sore. So we're going to think a little bit about evolution. And we're going to ask the question, why is it that so many religious people are afraid of evolution? Is it because it takes away their sense of being a special gift to the world? You know, it's a them and us sort of situation. They, the animals, have to be different from us, the humans. Part of it comes from a lack of understanding. It's the whole molecules to man stretch that we find so difficult to grasp. But this is called the argument from the fallacious argument from personal incredulity. The idea that I can't see how X causes Y, therefore it can't be true. You know, it's the same sort of thing. I have the same sort of thing when it comes to shipping. How do metal ships float in the water? It blows my tiny little mind, because you put metal in the water and it sinks to the ground, or sinks to the bottom of the river or the ocean or whatever it's in. So how does a metal ship weighing thousands of tons float in the water? But of course, just because I don't understand it doesn't mean that there's an actual reason and a mechanism behind it all. So there are probably other reasons apart from the argument from the lack of personal incredulity. And theology, unfortunately, is a strong one. A theology that's built on the idea that sin and death came into the world with humanity can't cope with the notion that humans were very late into the story of life on the planet Earth, because it means that there was plenty of death before humans ever got to be a thing. And for many people who are religious and who have a theological objection to evolution, that's one of the reasons. It was written that everything was created in 6 days, and it can't be anything else. The problem with that outlook is when you think about Lucifer or Satan or the devil or whoever it is, this biblical understanding is that Satan fell after the creation of the angels, but before the Garden of Eden. So Satan or Lucifer, whoever it is, he sins and rebels against God, and apparently nothing happens. He is thrown out of heaven with a number of other angels, and there's no cosmic consequences to that. And then you go into the story in Genesis, and it's Adam and Eve sinning or rebelling against God in the Garden of Eden, and that causes death to occur within the universe. And it's a very human-centric view. But we have to understand Genesis as a story explaining why we feel like we do today, not a description of how events occurred way back then. It's people look around and they say, why is the world so screwed up, so messed up? Why do I keep doing things that I don't particularly want to do? Why do I always self-sabotage when I should be, prospering? And so we want an explanation for that. And we look to Genesis. And Genesis writes the explanation after it's looked at the symptoms. The story of life on this earth is one of beauty and complexity and innovation. And while there are plenty of instances of death and misery, there are also examples of life finding a way against all the odds. And evolution is a tale of trial and error, of triumph and disaster, of success and abject failure. It doesn't have a goal in mind. Human beings are not the pinnacle of evolution.
Now over to Wapping to see what's brewing. Gentlemen, I've called this meeting to talk bags.
Too many late nights, if you ask me.
Not the bags under your eyes, chump.
Windbags.
I'm talking big bags.
I've noticed some PG.
The perfect example.
We are not plonked down upon the earth as it describes in Genesis. We came from the earth. Indeed, in one of the Genesis stories, because there are two Genesis stories, of course, in one of those, in Genesis 2, chapter 7, it says we were formed, or Adam was formed from the dust of the dirt of the world and had life breathed into him. And so evolution is the basic driver for all living organisms to keep their genes alive through future generations. And unfortunately, it's a drive that makes us self-focused. We are only interested in keeping our own genetic line going, including our sort of near family, their genetic line as well. And if sin is self-centeredness, see previous video, and the evolutionary drive is similar to that, then becoming human means moving beyond these primal desires. It means rising above these base instincts and to being governed by something that is higher. It is acknowledging our origins, our link, our interconnectedness with every living organism on the planet. But it's not accepting this as a fait accompli. St. Paul said, my friends, fill your minds with those things that are good and which deserve praise. Things that are true, noble, right, pure, lovely, and honourable. And maybe our theology needs to change in that respect. Maybe Jesus is not just about saving us from the original sin that occurred in some garden in the ancient Near East a handful of millennia ago. Maybe the whole point of Jesus is to show us how to rise above our evolutionary desires that kept us alive but didn't allow us to thrive or progress as humans. In the Sermon on the Mount, he says, "You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist an evildoer. If anyone strikes you on the right cheek, turn the other one. If anyone wants to sue you and take your coat, give your cloak as well. And if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go the 2nd mile." He was saying, you have heard it said, but I'm telling you to think a bit differently about it. And so when we look at evolution through the lens of faith or through the lens of humanity, we see that there is another way to live. It's not just about self and propagating your own genes. It's about learning to appreciate the good and wonderful things in life, to show love and help to other people, and to make the world a better place. And so there's nothing to fear from acknowledging evolution. As Darwin himself said, there is grandeur in this way of life, with its several powers having been originally breathed into a few forms or into one. And that whilst this planet has gone cycling on according to the fixed law of gravity, from so simple a beginning, endless forms most beautiful and most wonderful have been and are being evolved. If you like this sort of rubbish, please feel free to subscribe or like the videos. You can see them on the YouTube channel that I have. I trust that you will keep well over this next while, that you will enjoy the sunshine, if it is indeed sunny, wherever you are, and that you will look after your friends and neighbours, that you will love other people without thinking simply about yourself, and that we will all learn to make this world of ours a better place. Take care now. Bye-bye.